If I don't seem like myself in this video, that is because it's finals week and my caffeine consumption has reached an all-time high that even I'm slightly worried about. I'm like buzzed 24/7 and I'm definitely like feeling the effects on the body, so I do not recommend. I just keep telling myself, Sarah, it's just 1 week. How much damage can not enough sleep and too much coffee really do, right? Yeah, don't take after me. So there's this author, I don't know if you've heard of her. Shari Lapena, queen of domestic thrillers, Shari Lapena on display. Shari Lapena, you can't stop me once I get going about Shari Lapena. By Shari Lapena, that I kind of talk about a lot. Some may call me obsessed, I call me a stan. No, I'm just kidding. But Shari Lapena is definitely one of my favorite thriller authors because it's practically a given that whenever I pick up a book of hers, I'm going to have a fun time. She has become an auto-buy author for me, though not every one of her books has been a hit for me, so I don't think I'm as biased as I probably slightly am. Today, I'll be ranking all of Shari Lapena's novels, giving you guys the rundown on them, telling you guys which ones you need to go out and read and which ones you can skip right by on. I'll be laying it all out for you, in a spoiler-free fashion, of course. Oh, what's this? Don't worry about that, we'll get to that. I thought about making this video in the tier ranker format that I'm sure y'all are familiar with, but tier ranking was so 2021. But do you know what wasn't 2021? Dance Moms. Stay with me. Yeah, I know the show was last filmed in 2012. That's my point exactly. I've actually got to give credit where credit's due. To TikTok. My For You page keeps pushing TikTok Dance Mom tier ranker videos on me, which I keep watching, which then causes the app to push more of those types of videos on me. But I digress. Thank you, TikTok, for the inspiration. I hope you don't get banned. Behold, the infamous Dance Mom's Pyramid. So, Shari Lapena, who is she? Shari Lapena is a Canadian novelist best known for her domestic thrillers. In 2016, she published her debut thriller, The Couple Next Door, which became an instant bestseller. And ever since, she has published a book almost every year. Okay, that's it. I'm not here to recount her life story. Let's get down to business, shall we?
On the bottom, Paige, you were good. I'm waiting for you to be great.
The Couple Next Door. I did not expect the paper to rip. I wouldn't even classify that this book as good. Readable, on the other hand, barely. Is this on the bottom because I read this half asleep during my 24-hour readathon? That's a good question. Quite possibly, yes. Although the middle of the book is all slightly a blur, I still feel strongly about my opinions, okay? Before we get into those, let me give you all a brief synopsis. This thriller follows Anne and Marco, who have just been invited over to their neighbor's house for a dinner party, which would make for a lovely evening if it weren't for the fact that their babysitter has just canceled. But why not just bring their baby with them? The dinner party is just right next door after all. Well, the neighbors don't want that. It's nothing personal, they just can't stand the crying. So the couple decides to hook up a baby monitor and leave their daughter in their nursery while they go next door because, again, it's just next door. Everything should be fine, right? Think again, because near the end of the evening when Anne goes to check on the baby's gone. She's missing. She is absent from the crib. I can give the book that. That's kind of an interesting synopsis. It did pique my interest, but it did not hold my interest. I read thrillers because I want the suspense. I want a thrilling story. I do not want 300 pages of knowing exactly what's going on. How will that keep me on the edge of my seat? While reading this book, the popcorn remained untouched, if you know what I mean. This is the only Shari Lapena book that I wouldn't recommend unless you really wanted to give it a go. But don't come crawling back to me when you're halfway through and bored out of your mind and say I didn't warn you. Let me be the fool. That's what I'm here for. My point exactly. This happens in every single video. I'm giving up on necklaces. I'm giving up on jewelry. No, I'm not. You can forget about character development in here because there was none. The characters were very one-dimensional. The only thing the book had going for itself is that it was an easy read and I was interested to see how everything played out. But overall, this was not worth my or yours time and sanity. I'm sorry, Shari. I know that was kind of harsh. I do feel bad. I really do, but you gotta understand. I gotta be honest with the people. Next.
Kendall, you didn't stick out to me.
I agree with Abby. The synopsis of this one is actually my least favorite out of all of Shari Lapena's novels, and thus I put it off to read last, but I'll try to make it interesting for y'all. Picture this, you are Tom. I am self-inserting you as Tom for this one. And you have just pulled into your driveway of your suburban house after a long day of work. When you notice your wife's car is missing. Odd, right? Typically she is home around this time making a scrumptious dinner. So you go and walk up your front steps and open the front door and it's not locked, which is also strange for your wife because she is usually such a stickler about these things. Still, you're not not too alarmed. Why would you be? Because when you go inside, you see that dinner's already half made, so you just assume that your wife went to the store or something to get an extra ingredient. But then again, why would she forget her phone or purse? So now that you think about it, you actually are kind of alarmed. Fast forward to the next morning when you hear a knock on your door. So you go and peek out the front window and you see the police standing outside on your front deck. Instantly you feel the blood drain from your face because you know that this can only mean one thing. But when you open the front door and invite the police officer in, he informs you that your wife was in a serious car accident in which she ran head on at full speed into a pole and is now currently in the hospital. You are stunned. You are like, my wife. My law-abiding, never goes faster than the speed limit wife. I'm sorry, officer, you must be mistaken because my wife would never. Or would she? Does Tom really know his wife as much as he thinks he does? And when a man is found dead near the spot of the wife's car accident, is she somehow involved? I was surprised that the story surpassed my expectations. Mind you, it still wasn't great, not the best thriller, but it was enjoyable. This is a thriller that will change your feelings about the characters as you read by having you rooting for different ones throughout the story. One of my favorite aspects about Shari Lapena's novels is that she always includes a little something something extra at the end that you did not expect in the slightest, but will leave you grinning ear to ear. The last paragraph in this book made my day. It was just a little mischievous twist that I absolutely loved. I know it's been 6 years since you wrote this, but I'm going to need a sequel. I do feel like there could have been more development plot-wise and less women-on-women aggression. In this day and age, I want women supporting women. I'm not interested in reading about two chicks going at it over the same dude. That is not the type of energy I want. Let's move on.
Next is Brooke.
I like how Abby just had no explanation for Brooke. Brooke left her speechless. This is the mediocre spot on the pyramid, which is perfect for someone we know. Let's start with the rundown. This thriller is set in yet another suburban neighborhood, but little does this neighborhood know that it has a sneaky little 16-year-old intruder on its hands. Because in his free time, there's this 16-year-old boy who likes to sneak into people's houses and onto their computers. This kid really went to great lengths for the neighborhood tea. But his favorite pastime activity doesn't stay secret for long. And when his mom gets wind of what he's doing, she is driven by, I don't know, the force of God or something, and sends apology notes to the houses he broke into. But when a woman who lived in one of these homes is found murdered, the rising tension in the neighborhood reaches its breaking point as the neighbors, with all of their differing suspicions, point fingers and try to figure out who done it. If you want a petty, mommy drama filled Shari Lapena, this is your girl. I do want to warn you that this reads more so like a drama / mystery than a thriller, so I do think you have to be in that kind of headspace. This is a book that you read for the fictional neighborhood messiness, which I've personally never experienced and don't have an interest in experiencing, but I quite enjoyed experiencing in here. Every character had secrets they were desperate to keep hidden, and I was desperate to uncover. I also love it when kids are involved in domestic thrillers because it really gives off those familial vibes. I did get kind of tired of the drama after a while, and I personally would have liked a bit more thrill, but overall this was pretty decent.
Nia, you're third on the pyramid. You were third overall high score.
I swear this is gonna like fall over. Couldn't have said it better myself, Abby. Enter Stephanie and Patrick, a newly married couple with newborn twins who cry nonstop throughout the night due to their severe colic problems. So Stephanie is understandably not getting the best sleep, but still, besides her sleep deprivation, you can't deny that Stephanie has a pretty good life. Until a woman from Patrick's past shows up on her steps claiming that her husband murdered his first wife and is going to go straight to the police unless she gives her some hush-hush money. I cannot stress this enough. Do not, let me repeat, do not read the author's note at the beginning of this book because it spoils like the first 100 pages. Shari, why did you do that to me? Yeah, that's what I thought. But still, I did really enjoy the book, even though my reading experience was hindered a bit. I loved trying to figure out alongside Stephanie whom to trust, this woman who shows up with these insane accusations, or her husband whom she has 2 kids with and whom she's never thought to be suspicious of until details from his past start to emerge. You could feel Stephanie's paranoia emanating off the pages. The other woman with these accusations, Erica's her name, is a character that you love to hate. Like, you kind of despise her, but you love the drama she brings. This is a classic was it the husband type book that was really well done. Good job, Shari Lapena.
And Mackenzie?
This is the only Shari Lapena that is not a domestic thriller, and if this is what happens when she ventures into other sections of the thriller genre, I'm going to be cheering her along from the sidelines to keep going. This was fantastic. I loved this novel. I want more non-domestic thrillers from Shari Lapena. This is a thriller that is set at a cozy mountain lodge where guests have just arrived to unwind at this secluded getaway. But as the storm outside worsens, the guests soon realize that maybe this cabin doesn't have all the resources necessary to keep everything up and running during a blizzard. Still, when the electricity cuts off, the guests try to make the best of it. They start a fire, they get some extra blankets, and everything looks like it's going to be alright, right? Wrong, because after one guest turns up dead, it's put off as an accident, but after another guest kicks the bucket, they quickly realize that someone's picking them off one by one. This book gives secluded setting with strangers. It gives snowed in at a cabin lodge. It gives Agatha Christie, and then there were none. With these types of books, there's something satisfying with watching the story play out because you know what's going to happen like 80% of the book. People are going to be dropping like flies. But I don't know, I just love seeing the different ways the author kills them off, and then subsequently seeing the characters' reactions as they try to figure out which one of them is a lying murderer. This novel is very atmospheric. It would make for a great winter read, or for whenever you just want to escape into a snowy book with a murder on the loose. I particularly really remember enjoying the characters in here and in the next book as well. In these two books, I developed an attachment to the characters that I lacked in Shari Lapena's other novels. If you liked Ruth Ware's One by One, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, or I would even say Taylor Adams' No Exit, you gotta give this book a go. All right, drum roll please.
And on top of the pyramid, going 3 for 3, once again, is Maddie.
The Maddie of Lapena's books, the star. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean to offend the other dancers. Those dancers were probably better dancers at age 5 than I will ever be. But you know, Maddie was always Abby's favorite. This is the thriller that started my obsession with thrillers. Before I picked this up, I read a few thrillers here and there, but after I read this, my life changed. Not to be dramatic, but I seriously entered a new era, a thriller-filled era that I still am in currently till this day. Alright, picture this. It is Easter dinner at the Merton Mansion, where Fred and Sheila Merton are having their 3 adult children over for a meal. Although this evening was supposed to be a nice family get-together, it was far from that. This family is not a happy family. That was such a bad wink. But when Fred and Sheila are found murdered in their home the following morning, their children are just as shocked by this news as the next person, because they just left their parents' house the night prior and they were still in one piece. Or were they? Is that really the last time they saw their parents? Because the people that would benefit the most from their dismay is any one of their children, who stand to inherit millions. Or is the culprit maybe an outsider with a vendetta against the Mertons? I still vividly remember the day I started this book. I was at my parents' house, I was sitting on the couch, and I specifically remember opening the book and thinking, I'm not sure how much I'm going to like this, but I'll give it a go. Oh boy, little did I know that this book would have me in the palm of its hands. From page 1 to page 349. I could not put this book down. It's like Shari Lapena went inside my brain and figured out exactly what I wanted from a thriller and then slapped it down on paper and published it. I made my mom read this thriller after me because I was like, you're gonna love this book, Mom, and I was right, she loved it. All of Shari Lapena's books are told from multiple perspectives, which I usually like. It keeps the writing fresh and interesting by having these constantly changing viewpoints. But the writing style was so exceptionally done in this novel of hers. Every single viewpoint was so engaging. I almost don't want to hype this book up too much because then you'll have this ridiculously high expectation that no novel could live up to. But then again, this thriller was so good and is still to this day one of my all-time favorite thrillers. I don't have one negative thing to say about it. I loved every bit of it. Do you think I've raved about this book enough? Or should I keep going? If you take away one thing from this video, let it be to read this book. Love it. So obviously, this is the correct ranking of Shari Lapena's novels, but feel free to leave your rebuttals down below if you dare. No, obviously this is subjective, but I stand behind this right here 100%. I have now officially run out of Shari Lapena's to read, but she is coming out with another thriller this summer, which I know I won't be able to resist buying for long, and then once I do get my hands on it, it will go straight to the top of my TBR. Alright, that is going to be it for this video. I should probably go study. Yes, I made this instead of studying. Not my smartest move. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help me and my channel out a lot. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!